Sunday. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're already an existing subscriber, welcome back. If you just happen to run into my channel for the very first time, welcome to my YouTube channel and consider subscribing for more videos like this. So I'm doing live stream because I have something very important that I wanted to discuss with you all, and also expects to get some feedback and see where we stand on this topic, because I've been thinking about this topic for the past couple of days, and I figured that I would talk about it and see your reaction about this, right? But this is going to be more coming from my own personal experience doing business in Congo. For those of you that don't know, I am into agriculture. I own a farm. I've been doing activities on my farm for the past 4 years, going on 4 years now. I'm on my 4th year since I started flying back and forth to Congo to accomplish my long-lasting objective, which is farm in Congo. I am based in Kinshasa, and that's where I am ever going to consider my headquarters will be. In the event that we've reached that level where we need to expand throughout the nation. But when that time comes, we will talk about it. But for now, Kinshasa is considered my main headquarters. All right. So welcome, guys. I'm gonna give it a couple of more minutes and wait so people tune in, and then we'll talk about this. So if you just happen to to log in, please let me know where you're watching from, and also just let me know if you can hear me well, because obviously I'm driving, I'm on the highway, so it could get a little noisy out here. Please bear with me. In less than 5 minutes I should be off the highway, and hopefully the noise will reduce a little bit. But if you can hear me well, just give me a thumbs up and I would really appreciate it. Alright guys, so I have 3 things. You can probably see from the thumbnail that those are the things that I'm going to discuss with you guys. And again, this is solely my own personal experience, and I have developed these skills. It puts me in a position of confidence to talk to you about this, and hoping that you can learn something from it too. In the event that you happen to consider going back to Congo to start a business or to start a farm, I'll be more happier to see more young Congolese starting farms. But there's nothing wrong with doing something different too, because we want everything happening within the Congolese youth in the diaspora in terms of doing business in Congo. I encourage everybody that have the entrepreneurial mindset to go back to Africa, do something for their country. So if you're from Congo, you're following, go back to Congo. If you're from Nigeria, you're following, go back to Nigeria. You're from Kenya, you're following, go back to Kenya. It doesn't matter where you go. You could be from Kenya, you want to come doing business in Congo, you're more welcome to do so. I've having my email, I chat with people who are from different African countries, but they have very they have interest in doing business in Congo or starting farming in Congo, just because of the potential Congo has that you may not find in certain African countries. Because if you didn't know, Congo has millions upon millions of arable lands that have not been used. So that actually opened variety of door of opportunities in doing agricultural activities. All right. So with that being said, I feel like I have enough in the chat. I don't really have to wait for anyone any longer, so we can just jump right into it while I'm driving to work, because I'm still a couple of miles away from my job or whatnot. So we're just going to talk about it. All right. So I appreciate you guys tuning in, and just let me know where you're watching from, and please consider hitting the like button for the YouTube algorithm. because I'm sure there are a lot of more people out there that are still unaware that we're live. So please hit the like button so that YouTube can send it to more people. Then we have a broader audience to talk about this. All right, let's jump into number one. Open-mindedness. That's right. If you've, I don't know what most of my viewers' situation is, whether you're born in Africa or born and raised in Africa, or born in America, or born in the West, grew up there, but you still have interest in going back to Africa to do business, whatever the case may be, or you've moved here when you were younger and you've lived here for a very long time. Being open-minded is going to help you out a lot, and I will explain why. You see, if you've lived in Africa and you move to the West after a certain amount of time, you become more accustomed to the Western culture, to the Western way of seeing things, and the infrastructure that you're used to. It'll automatically boost your standards, right? You will have, and even expectations. So when you go back to Africa to visit, it becomes a little bit of the struggle to adjust, because you are coming from a society or societies where things are a little fast paced, to going back to things are much slower, and it takes somebody with the open-mindedness to actually adjust to that environment. So if you can do that, then you are golden. Then you are ready to do a lot more things, because what's going to help you out with is that you have to understand that if you are, going from one place to another, it's going to be traffic. All right, it's going to be traffic because there aren't that many road infrastructures that you can rely upon. So look at all the metropolitan in Africa, whether it is Lagos, Kinshasa, Abidjan, or what, talking about like Johannesburg, all of these major cities, traffic tend to be outrageous. All right, and plus the weather, it's hot in Africa and it's dry heat because it's tropical weather, right? When you're sitting in the car, it's so hot, it makes you uncomfortable. You're just driving through the town and you have to get, trapped in traffic and all of that stuff. It makes you feel some type of way, you know what I'm saying? Or if you, like go to a grocery store, for instance, and there's like a whole bunch of people in the grocery stores, but nobody is really lined up or following the line, right? And people could just walk in and they get served right before you. Whereas here in the West, when you walk into a grocery store, you walk into any business and you see a line, you automatically know, okay, my spot is right here. I am going to wait till it's my turn so I can be served. But that's not how things work in Africa. So if you can find your way around those things, you will be fine. All right. So, but it's nothing wrong with it, but it's just like the way the culture is built, its way the culture has always been. But coming from Africa to the West and living here for a certain amount of time and building and actually embracing the culture, becoming more comfortable. And there are things that you may struggle with when you go back there. All right. So another one of those is, for instance, electricity, right? So growing up in Africa, electricity goes in and out, right? So you're not going to always have electricity 24/7 all year round. So there were times where like the electricity goes out, and then you have to wait after a couple of hours or sometimes a whole day without electricity. That is okay. Whereas here in the West, you're not used to that. When if like there's a power outage out here, people freak out, and like the electricity company have to step in and act as quickly as possible to make sure the situation gets addressed, because here in the West, like they have 4 seasons. When it's wintertime, it's super cold. People rely on electricity to run, heat throughout the house to keep themselves warm. So there is like so much more that makes these, Western country obligated to always have these energy sources permanent, available all year round. You understand what I'm saying? Whereas in Africa, due to its beautiful tropical weather, electricity might not be an issue at all because we don't have winter time over there. It doesn't get crazy cold in Africa like that, where like you will need the needs to have electricity available to do whatever it is that you need to do. You know what I'm saying? I do understand that electricity is very important to run a lot of businesses. If you're planning to industrialize, you pretty much need energy. Electricity is very important to mass produce and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And when you move back to Africa with the business mindset and you find electricity being an issue, and if depending on the nature of the business that you are trying to do, if it's something that's going to affect you, that's probably it's not going to be a place for you. All right, some people run business that allow them to either use the generator to make things run smoothly, or things like that. Some people just depend on electricity for whatever reason. Okay, so those are the inconveniences that you have to expect when you go back to Africa, when you're planning on doing business out there. So just keep that in mind. When you go back there, you will need a little bit of the adjustments. But let me tell you something and be honest with you. If you maintain the expectations that you have accumulated living here in the West, and you trying to take it to Africa, especially when you were planning on doing business, let me just be honest with you, it's not going to work out. You will probably end up losing money, and it's probably not worth even digging into your bank account to do anything whatsoever. That's why I highly encourage people to go before. If you're considering doing business in Africa, one of the things that you need to start doing, start taking trips there, start traveling more often, learn what you need to learn to establish your business. Depending on what you are planning to do, go out there, get as much information as you can, and come back, evaluate, and be honest with yourself. Is this something that I really want to do? Like, don't get me wrong, doing business in Africa, whether it is Africans or any other nationals, it's not for everybody. It takes people with a certain level of mindset and objectivity to actually take on this path and do business and things like that. So that's just gonna wrap up the being open-minded or open-mindedness, and things like that, because I believe that if you can adjust to all of the things that it's so many of them that I just picked use those example to paint a picture, to give you an idea what you need to expect. Because if you would just get adjusted and it's nothing that's going to bother you, then fine, and you really good to go. All right, so let's jump right into number 2. So number 2 is resilience. All right, so from my own personal experience, you need to be resilient when you're doing business in Congo. This is how here we consider you've already started, things are running, or you're building, or whatever you are, depending on the phase you're in. You need to be more resilient, because it's going to be a lot of challenges and obstacles in the thick of you doing business in Africa. All the challenges, again, like, you're not going to just do things the way it's run here in the West. Things don't work like that. Again, it's like I said, things is going to be a little more slow paced. So you just have to understand that when you are doing something in Africa, being resilient is going to help you to push further. The level of challenges and obstacles that you will run into will discourage you every step of the way. But you have to be more you should be planning or looking at the bigger picture, or looking at the end results, the outcome of what you are planning to do, or whatever the fruit of what you are planting is going to end up being. That should be your target. Because let me be honest with you, if you're just going to sit around and expect things to work out the way you expect them without, applying your skill or ability to be resilient, it's probably not going to help you out. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people get it wrong most of the time to think that if you have a lot of money, or if you're investing a certain amount of money, you're automatically going to stand out. No, unfortunately, that's not how it works. You need to learn the strategy of doing business there in order for you to actually stand out. Like, I've seen people who went there with the smallest amount of capital possible, and now they are doing fantastic. They're just literally living their best life because the strategy they had used, it just helped them even get further. That's why I would never encourage someone to just go pour a lot of money into do business because you are so excited, you think it's going to work out, but then when you start realizing and learning the realities of, the environment, and then you will be more or disappointed in yourself just for taking actions like that. That's why it's very important to travel back and forth, learn as much as you can, do your research, spend time, networking with people, or why not, find someone who's been doing something that you have interest in, and see how they do it, hear the story, see how successful they are, and let them tell you the challenges that they're going through to give you an idea what to expect, rather than just going there blind and pour money. At the end of the day, you don't get anything out of it. You get out, you come back to the West with your hard-earned money. You're probably not going to want to go back and get a second job or a third job to do it all over again, because we have to learn how to use our time and money economically so it doesn't end up affecting us in the long run. Because someone like me, if I've been working all this overtime, like on Sunday, this is my day off, but they asked me to to fill in because some of the officers, they not on, they won't be on duty today. I'm going there because I'm like, you know what, I'm building in Africa, I got projects going on, why not? I can use a couple $100 in my bank account that's going to help me buy a couple bags of cement for them to make more bricks for the next structures that I'm building on my farm. That is the type of mindset we should all have when you are planning on doing business in Africa, right? So this is very important because, again, the challenges be confronted to is much greater than your typical headaches that you have to go through here in the West if you are doing business here. Understand that it'll be more people trying to scam you. There will be more people trying to get something out of you. If you don't know how to stand up for yourself, that's just going to hurt you in the long run. Resilience is very important because we've seen people that have tried to do business and they fail, right? And they just gave up. No, that's not how, because one thing we need to understand, doing business is pretty much putting your money at risk because you don't know whether it's going to work out. Now, it's almost you just betting on a sporting event. It's like pretty much playing lottery. When you play lottery, you do not know the end results or the outcome of the results will be. You're just hoping that it'll work out, so you turn out winner. It's pretty much the exact same thing when doing business. You could lose or you could win, but more likely when you are putting money into a project, you are expecting to get it back. You are expecting to make profit off of it. That is why we have the positive mindset that we have when we go in there to do business, correct? So if you keep that in mind, you should be fine. And resiliency is one of the things that's going to help you continue to push further no matter what the obstacles will be. I'll tell you one thing, right? I told a story on my farm, right? Oh, Happy New Year to you too. I told a story about what happened on my farm where I went to Congo last year around May. I was there between May and July. So while I was there, I didn't know that there was a conflict happening there, and my family, friends, they didn't even tell me anything about that because they didn't want to discourage me, right? I had already saved up this money. I was ready to go and start poultry farming because I had already gotten in contact with a local guy who builds, chicken coops and things like that. When I get there, I learned about all of this stuff. I was very discouraged. I'm telling you, I was so discouraged that I didn't even want to have anything to do with farming anymore, right? I was just like, you know what, screw this. I was just sitting there and not really doing anything. And as a result, in the agricultural lands, you grow weeds, like grass is growing out of control. And just people kept talking to me and asking me questions about how your farm is doing and all of that. I'm like, yeah, it's doing fine. Basically, I started lying to people because people know this is what I do and this is what I've been putting my effort in. And it took one of the guys that I work with to come back to me and be like, hey man, listen, last time I was on your farm, this is what happened. And like all your trees that you planted, you can barely see them, that like the grass growing all crazy. And there's actually attempts to steal, some of the materials that's on the farm and everything. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like, but then my brother went there, he saw it for himself. He came back, he's like, hey, you're gonna have to do something about this. Or if you don't want to continue with this, you can sell it. You can still make a profit because you've already built a pig barn. I sit back and I thought about the investment that I had already done. I thought about the amount of money that I had already put in there. And I'm like, I just can't give up because we have planted the trees, which cost me somewhere around close to pretty much over $600, like almost $700 that I spent to plant all the trees and everything, because my ambition is to create a forest and make it so green that when we're on the farm and it's windy, we benefit from this natural breeze and things like that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have to do something about that. You know why when I resume the activities is because the resilience in me. It's like, dude, you've done things. It's undone. I mean, you just can't walk away from it. You're gonna have to do something about it. Had I not have this persistence or resilience, the farms will probably get torn apart. People will probably be taking all the materials. Some of them actually got stolen, but not all of them. So now I've resumed. I am in a much better place. Even mentally, I'm just feeling so relieved because the fact that I kept thinking about it, nothing is getting done, it alone was already stressing me out. But the fact that I had people around me to talk to me about it and I took action, that's me being more resilient to determine the future of the farm, right? I did that. Now guess where I'm at. Actually, speaking of which, keep those alerts turned on because I'm working on videos about that. I'm building a house in there for my staff to have a permanent place to stay. If you guys been following me for a while, you know that back in 2021, I believe, or maybe like 2022, I had built like a security outpost that I would consider. It was meant to be there temporarily to help the staff, my people that work there on the farm, to have a place to stay. So if there was something happening, they don't have to go spend the night somewhere else, right? So it was, I used woods and other like local building materials that made it stand out. But when the farm was left unattended after this conflicts and everything that happened, people actually got into the farm and they grabbed whatever they could. Long story short, the structures does not exist anymore. It was stolen. So that actually encouraged me to even do something better. I'm building using brick materials. That's why things are happening right now. And I will share that with you this coming week. So just keep those alerts turned on and you will have those videos coming your way. All right. So that actually boosts me up. That encouraged me to keep doing what I'm doing, but in a much larger scale, using the proper material, even though it's costing a little bit more. But at the end of the day, when that project is complete, you are going to be making more profits because it won't be like, oh, okay, you need to spend money on X, Y, and Z because the money was already spent. Now all what you got to do, you just have to learn how to manage that, every step of the way. All right. So that's that. Again, it looks like there's more people watching right now. Please do me a favor, hit the like button, so that YouTube can send this video to more people out there to join the chat. I really appreciate it. So number three, to wrap it all up, is going to be patience. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing will get you through doing business in Africa than being patient. Patience is the key. Oh my God. Understand that when you have plans to do something on a Monday at 8:30 in the morning, don't be surprised if people start showing up. I'm talking about people that were supposed to do whatever it is that you had planned. Don't be surprised if people start showing up at 10 and then the work starts at maybe like 12 p.m. That's just the African way. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but there are many reasons that justify it. I earlier I mentioned, the traffic issue that we go through in Congo particularly, because the traffic, people are probably not going to make it on time. When they get on a taxi, there's traffic jam everywhere throughout the city. It might take them a lot longer to get there versus, if it was here in the West, they can get in their own vehicle or get on the bus. They will make it there on time because the traffic is not as crazy as it is in most African countries. So I hope that's sinking, because if you just have those higher expectations, you will probably be more frustrated and you will just be like, you know what, screw this. I'm not doing this anymore because I can't deal with this. That's why having these three things is very significant to help you continue to do business in Africa. Or if you're planning on doing business in Africa, just expect these things and probably build these things, use it in your advantage to make progress. Because if you're not open-minded, you're not resilient, and you don't have patience, I mean, good luck to you, but I don't know how that's going to work out for you. But what you will need to do is to apply these virtues if you're willing to succeed. That's pretty much what it needs to be. Patience is the key, because I do not know how many times since I started building on my farm when people were expected to start on a Monday, but they didn't start until Thursday because the person that was supposed to build it had a contract with somebody else before me. And then they will tell you, oh, yeah, we'll start on Monday, knowing that it's impossible they won't be able to start on Monday. You know what I'm saying? And the problem that I have with some of them is that telling the truth can be just as simple as 3 words and everything is going to be okay. Just talk to me and let me know what's going on. They will guarantee you that it'll get done, knowing very well that they're supposed to be at a different place on the same day, but they still assure you that they will be there to do it, right? But then when you turn around, you ask them, but like, how did you not do it? And then they want to come up with all this kind of crazy stuff. And to me, it's just like, dude, just talk to me and tell me, hey, I was contracted by someone else before, prior to, start, actually taking responsibility to do your stuff, and that's why, and I'll be okay with it. I will reschedule. And I try, talking to them. Oh, by the way, I already made it to work, so I'm like literally in the garage. Now I'm just chilling. I got time, so I'm gonna roll my window down because it's a little hot out here. So, and I'm like, dude, all you needed to do, just be honest with me. Tell me what's going on, and I will reschedule, because sometimes I would just have to talk to them and just not necessarily yell at them. I'll be like, listen, man, I have my guy who's my little homie that I send out there to film, to get the footage for me, because I want to know what's going on. That's just the way I do things. When I'm not on the spot, when I'm not in Congo, while I'm doing things there or building or whatever I'm doing there, I always send my little guy. It goes there, it film alongside my brother. He will report to anything that he thinks must change, any things that needs done. and things like that. That's just how I roll, right? And I had to explain to him, listen, dude, if you and I are going to continue to work together, you're going to have to do things in my own terms. I'm okay with you telling me that I'm not going to be available on the date that you want me to. And I will also work with you and be like, hey, tell me when you're going to be available. And I look at my guy's schedule, because my man that I send there to film, it also works somewhere. So I need to rely on his day off, you know what I mean, to send him out there. And I brought that to his attention. I'm like, if we're going to do this, this is how it's going to play out. I need him to be there to take photographs, film. Eventually we'll send it to me. So you need to give me a schedule. We'll plan everything, and that's how we will work out, right? And we came to a common ground. We came to an understanding. We've been doing things the way I wanted it, and things have been working just fine. How many times I have planned on doing something on 1 week, but it ended up not happening for another week just because it was not available, and I it was not available on that day, but it was available the next day. But then my guy, my cameraman, he has to be at work. I can't just jeopardize this job and be like, yo, you gotta go there and film. You know what I mean? So I don't have to wait till the day is off, and we just work out that way. So find what works for you, and then you will trace the path you want things to move into. That's just kind of like how I work when I do things, and it has been working for me just fine. All right, I'll be talking for the past couple of minutes. I just want to grab this comment real quick, and I'll get back to the video. The traffic back home isn't that bad. The problem is the mentality of drivers that makes it crowded and worse. Oh, I would have to agree with that. Road intolerance also is one of the reasons. Oh, actually, that is a valid point. Oh my God. Every time I'm in Congo, I drive. I mean, sometimes I have someone driving me, but like for the most part, I do the driving. I do drive when I'm in Congo. And I will have to agree with Motongasa here. It's the intolerance. It's the left, because everybody is in a rush. You know what I'm saying? So it could just be that, okay, dude, if you would have waited for this driver or just let him over, this traffic would have been avoided. But everybody wants to just make it to the finish line first, whereas like if you would have a little bit of the tolerance, things would have been fine. All right. So, but like, let's just face the reality. Yeah, I agree. The traffic is not that bad, intolerance and all of that stuff, but like things just happen differently in Africa. That's why me particularly on my farm, I am just spending all this money to build the house. It's going to be a 1-bedroom house that I'm building there to allow my staff to stay there. So in the future, when I am building more structures, which is going to be the case really soon, as soon as the 1-bedroom house that I'm building is complete, I'm bringing the pigs back, I'm bringing livestock back onto the farm. I will jump right onto building chicken coop to start my poultry farming. That has always been in my priority list, but due to the things that happened, I wasn't able to do that, right? So that one right there, it's very, very important to me, because I can already see how quickly that's going to grow, right? And the purpose of building a house, it's not only to provide shelter and security for the people that work on a farm, but it's also going to make it easier and actually reduce my spending probably by half, because I have to pay transportation for the team that's building there. I have to buy their food and everything like that. When the house is built, if they're working on something that is expected to be complete in a matter of a week or 2 weeks, they don't have to go back and forth, unless someone in the group needs to be at a certain place, but that's going to be outside of my control. But you understand, they will not be paid or given the transportation money, because when you contracted, that's how things work in Africa. It's not like how it is here in the West or whatever, but like that's how they're paying their bills. That's how they're taking care of their family. They'll let them know, hey, we're going to be spending X amount of time there to get this project done. Or if they're not okay with it, believe it or not, you will always find people that are open-minded. And that brings us back to one of the points that I'm mentioning in the video, that are open-minded, that don't have no issue spending the night to get work done. And actually, my very first crew that I brought on my farm, when I did the fencing thing on my farm, when I fenced it all up, we done a portion throughout the first day, and then I talked to them. It's not like it was pre-planned prior to going to the farm, but it was something that, as the day goes, and we see how far we have gotten, and we realize that, oh damn, we will need to come back tomorrow and finish this. And I convinced him, I'm like, hey man, instead of us going all the way back where we came from and coming back here, it's gonna cost us a lot more on transportation. What if we stay over, and my guy, one of the guys that was there, he owns a house not too far from my farm. It's somewhere about like 7 kilometers or so. So we rode motorbikes back to his house. We spent the night there. Next morning, we brushed our teeth, grabbed breakfast. We went right back into the farm. It was still a little bit of the ride, because 7 kilometers is a little bit of the ride, but it's even gonna be better when the 1 bedroom house it gets built, because then it will give me the possibility and the ability to house the workers who are building, the construction team who are building on the farm, to have a place to sleep and have food available. They can just go to the markets, buy food, and have it there at the house. So nobody doesn't have to like go out to get food. Like, everything is there. Thinking about that, I'm like, no, these infrastructures or these structures must be built, because it will only make things easier along the way, in the process of building things, or working on numerous things around the farm. I can have people stay there. That will be like the first structures, but believe it or not, eventually we will expand, we will build things. I'm sitting on 15 acres, guys, and it's a lot. So you need to have a little more of the activities going on down there. That's why, like, I'm getting sick of all of this. When I plant things and you have to like do weed control at a certain amount of time, if you don't do it, then the grass grow, they kill your crops. It's driving me nuts. But one thing I'm doing, and the one solution that I came up with, is that, okay, we're gonna be planting trees. We'll plant trees. When they grow, they get to a certain level, it pretty much flattens the surface, so we don't have to deal with that anymore. But until that happens, until trees grow to a certain level, to make that happen, you will just have to deal with what's going on there, unfortunately. But we are approaching that time slowly by slowly, and things will happen much quicker than I had originally planned, just because I have putting the resources and the money to do exactly what people are expecting from me. Okay, and I cannot wait, guys. Okay, let me just put this out there. I've talked about the 3 things that I had highlighted for this video. It's done. I hope you learned something from it. But from this point on, towards whenever this live stream is gonna end, I'm just gonna be talking about things and telling you my experience, and probably encouraging you to do things in a certain way, if that is the plan that you have in doing agriculture in Congo. All right, so let me go back and grab these comments real quick, and I'll be back with you. How many workers do you have on your farm? It will also allow you to spend more time on your farm to supervise things and not be rushed to go back to Kinshasa. Well, that is a good point. Well, first of all, let me answer your first question. So you mean like how many workers that I have that run the farm, or how many people that are working on constructing the, everything that I'm building on the farm right now? Because if you're asking about how many workers that I have on my farm, as of now, I only have 2. But literally, as we speak, they're not on salary yet, because they used to be on salary. when I had built a temporary structure where they were staying before all of these conflicts happened, and they were out of the farm and there was really nothing happening. So now things are happening, we're doing things. They will be back on salary, on monthly salary, after the the one bedroom house is built. So then it will give them the ability to have a place to stay, spend the night, and work around the farm. All right, and then we'll bring the pigs back, giving them something to do, because I just can't be playing people. Because if I bring the pigs there, who's gonna stay there? Where are they gonna stay? Are they gonna be spending the night with the pigs in a pig barn? No, they need to have their own place as human beings, have their own structures, right? And then they will just look after the animals and things like that. So that's pretty much where we stand now. Okay, I hope I answer your question. So I have 2 workers, and the only reason I have 2 workers because we don't have more happening on the farm. Even back then when I had 2 of them, it wasn't a lot going on. We had a couple of crops that we had planted, and we had a couple of pigs running around the farm or whatnot. But now it looks like it's before the end of the year, the end of 2024, we're going to need a lot more than just 2 workers. It's going to probably be maybe 4. And the number of workers on the farm will only continue to increase based on how much work we got going there and how much work that they need to do. That's why, and after the one bedroom house is built, I am going to jump onto building the chicken coop right away, because I already got it's like 30 tons of sand that they dropped off at the farm, which means I'm going to have to to buy cement, probably 30 bags of cement, which is going to cost me between $450 to $500. So we have a good amount of bricks for the chicken coops construction. And I was already talking to a guy who built them. He will give me estimates shortly, then I'll know what I'm working with. But that's probably not going to be used to build the chicken coops only, because chicken coops, you don't need to just like build a whole brick structure for it. Like I needed that for the pigs, because pigs are a little more aggressive. When they get pissed off, they break things. So that one, it's a hard material that was used, so we're good on that. And then we're going to build the chicken coops, but the foundation will be done, but then the structures will probably use woods and other hard materials or construction materials for that matter too. And then eventually we will need more people to run the poultry farming side of the poultry aspect of the farm. You know what I mean? So that's giving you an idea of how many workers we will eventually need, moving forward. All right. And also, let me answer the question too. I go to Congo, and trust me, and everybody that have been watching me for a very long time, they know that I always encourage you physically being there as things aren't getting done. But unfortunately, sometimes we can do so much. I try the best I can. I try to go there as often as I can to supervise things and see things take place while I'm there. But at the same time, I have now reached that level of finances security where I'm comfortable staying in Congo for a period longer than 2 months without being worried about what's happening here in America, because I got a whole life that I live here too. I got things that I got to take care of here in America. That's why I'm still kind of attached to my job. You know what I mean? But don't get me wrong, the goal here is to permanently move back to actually be on a foot on the ground, like boots on the ground, doing things in Congo. That's the ultimate goal. But that's why I'm working towards that goal by working here, making the money that I'm making, building in Congo, building on my farm, and eventually when I feel like the money that I'm generating from the farm compared to like what I make here, if I feel comfortable, then I'm moving back in Congo. And also using my YouTube channel, and hopefully it start paying where I feel like, okay, economically, I don't really have anything, excuse me, I don't have anything to worry about, staying in America anymore. Believe it or not, I would like to go back to Congo. If I had the means to do it now, today is what? January 14th is a Sunday. If I have the means, the financial means to do it now, before the end of the day, I'll book my flying tickets to Congo, and I'll be on an airplane tomorrow, Monday. And by the time you see the next video, I'll be in Kinshasa, showing you what's happening on my farm. So that's how determined I am. And everything I'm doing, I'm not doing it because I'm just trying to impress people on YouTube. No. You've seen me on my videos, you've seen me on my YouTube channel, how many times I've traveled in the past 4 years in Congo. It's not like you like here in America, you go to Puerto Rico, it's like a $250 round trip, or you go to Mexico, it's like a $300 round trip ticket, or you go to El Salvador, or you go to Colombia, or whatever oldest Latin American countries that are near America. No, here you're talking about $1,300, sometimes $1,500 round trip ticket to Kinshasa. That's why whenever I go to Congo, I try to do at least over a month, or I try to stay there at least for 2 months. It's not enough time, but it gives me enough time to know what's happening, what's going on, and that's the mindset that I have. Let me grab this comment real quick, and I'll be back with you. It will also allow to spend more time in your farm, to supervise things. Let me see here. People running the farm. What is the best way to secure the perimeter of the farm? That's one good question. Also, is your farm cadastre? That's another good one. You should also build another bedroom for yourself to stay on your farm. Like I said, to spend more time in and supervise things when you're there. All right, I'm gonna start answering from the last question asked. That is, and it's in plane. It's gonna happen, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm very, and going back again, I'm very open-minded. All right, I don't mind, because the one bedroom that I'm building there is for my my workers, right? But and eventually, believe it or not, I would build like a 2-bedroom house in the farm for me, and maybe other people who want to come and spend time on the farm and see how I do things on the farm. That's also another projects that I'm going to work on eventually. But I mean, when I'm in Congo, I don't mind spending the night with my worker in that 1-bedroom that I'm building right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see anything wrong with it. But I do agree with you, and it's been on my mind. It's something that it'll have to happen, because not only that I'm doing that, I'm just, my farm is there. It is also one of the places where, like, if I go on a farm and I just want to stay away from the city craziness, I'll just stay there for as long as I can. By then we will, I would imagine that all the trees that I'm growing there is fully grown, the avocado trees and plantains and orange and many other fruits that I'm growing on my farm. By then we will hope that it's all ripe and grown and everything. I can be eating all the organic stuff on the farm and just having my spending a good time out there while I'm just working alongside my workers and stuff. So that's the plan. All right, but before we get to that, I'm just building this urgently, because we need to bring the animal back and resume the activities. I mean, the activities has resumed, but there isn't really nothing in the pig barn because the pigs are gone. So we're trying to bring them back. I mean, I have the money. I can buy them tomorrow and they're back on the farm, but who's going to be there? You don't have a place to stay. You know what I'm saying? But that's why I'm building this as quickly as I can, which I'm saying should be done in the next 2 weeks, maybe less than 2 weeks. We'll see, because they've already done the foundation. Just a, the spoiler alert, and there's a video about that. just bear with me here. I know when I talk about videos that I need to release, it end up taking me a very long time, but I'll try the best I can to release those videos to y'all as quickly as possible, because you guys have no idea how hard it is having a full-time job and uploading YouTube videos, especially me. Oh my god, like at my job, you may I pick up overtime here and there, don't get me wrong, but like some days you don't even need to work overtime, but like you just get caught on the call or shooting or freaking dead body or something crazy like that. You just can't leave the crime scene. You just need to stay there, and it's like overtime that you didn't even ask for. And sometimes it takes you 3, 4, even 5 hours after when the time that your shift was supposed to end. And it happens, and it like consistently. I'm working in the Philadelphia area. It's busy, it's crazy, and we just deal with a lot of things. So I just wanted to put that out there. All right, but I will share that video with you guys so you'll see what's happening. I hope I answer your question. So you say also, is your farm cadastre? Yes, it is. Where I own a farm, all of the lands in that village, from there all the way to like near the main boulevard or whatever, all of those farms are cadastre, like all of them. Trust me, I did my homeworks, I did my research before purchasing my farm there, and trust me, I know. And I also got my paperwork and everything is good to go. And then somebody's just gonna pop up and be like, oh, this belongs to me. No. Nobody ain't taking nothing away from nobody. And just so you know, where I own my farm is literally in diagonal with Lambert Mende. I don't know what position is in the current government, but you know who Lambert Mende is if you were kind of lead. So he owns a farm there. So if these people have their farm in that area, it's safe enough to own there. You know what I'm saying? So my workers and their workers, sometimes like they talk or whatever, they lend things or back and forth or whatnot. So yeah, it's very cadastre. If you're planning on getting something from there in that area, I would highly encourage you to do so. There's nothing to be worried about. Actually, ever since I got my farm there, I've never heard a story where somebody bought a land and it got taken away from them. I just never heard a crazy story like that since I own mine. So I just needed to let you know of that. All right, so let me see, what was the other question? What is the best way to secure the perimeter of your farm? All right, I don't know. There might be hundreds of ways out there to do so, but what I did for mine, it partially worked. Let me be honest about that. It cost me a little more, but I feel like I should have gotten a much better deal for what I spent money for. But that's something of the past. I'm not trying to get back, to that topic, but it has worked. It deterred, like there used to be like goats from like nearby villages coming through my farm and eating up all the crops that I was growing there. The problem was addressed when we ran, we built the farm to secure the farm. I didn't have that issue anymore. But I also have some other ideas to secure the farm even much better than what it is now. But for whatever reason it was built for, it's been working so far. So I have no concerns about that. And I'm actually thinking that it would have benefited me if I had probably gone the cheaper way. If I had probably used like locally, or maybe like using woods, fencing from local, I don't know, builders. It might have worked, but I chose to like use like the iron bars that ended up costing me a little bit more. But then when I look at the way it looks, I just don't think that the guy who had planned it, did a good job. But we helped along the way. it worked. I'll give him that. It worked, and then the goats are not coming into my farm like they used to do anymore. But I will still build something a little more sophisticated than what I currently have. But it is not a priority right now because it's already there. So, yeah. I mean, the best way, honestly, I don't know. You know, let me address something real quick. We all learning from one another. You know, the things that I've done, I've learned. I'll pass on to the knowledge to some of you who are planning on doing the same thing. But if I feel like there's something I've done in the past that wasn't so good, I'll come up front and tell you the truth about it. Like the farm, all right. Um, but like the farm, I mean, what I already have, I think it's working, but I still want something more. But it's not a priority right now. I'm prioritizing the things that's going to make the farm run. You know what I mean? Like now they just plowed almost 5 acres of land right there. You know, when they did the weed management or whatnot. I'm planning on, you know, planting corn, and then we will plant more trees. We'll plant orange. We'll plant lemon tree and a coconut tree. Coconut trees were supposed to be planted when we launched the very first planting campaign, but unfortunately they weren't available when we were looking for them. So now that they're available, I will have to like get them. But my guys over there already gathering the prices and everything, and they'll actually have people. They will tell you how, you know, far from one another they need to be, and they will do the estimate of how many trees you need, right? And then you go from there. So that's just one thing that I'm waiting for before you know, doing what needs to be done next. And from there we'll just see what happens. So in the meantime, you know, I'm just out here, you know, taking care of things from distance and hoping that they continue to do a good job. And once the animals are back on the farm, I'll do my best to pour more content to you guys, as you know, as much as possible. And that way I'll keep you guys updated on the evolution of the farm, and anything I learn in the strategy and to do things, because there isn't only one way of doing things. There's always multiple ways. And along my learning process, if I find something that works better for me than it did in the past, I will pass that on to you. So those of you that are coming after and planning on, you know, doing agriculture, you pretty much have the knowledge you need. You don't have to go through the calamities or like make the mistakes that some of us have made so far. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's like I'm doing this for myself. At the same time, I'm trying to encourage some of you to come back there to also do your thing. And at the end of the day, if we could all like hold hands and carry out these activities and doing what Congolese youth supposed to be doing in Congo, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. That's why I'm just trying to build this community to an extent where we just have like the Congolese youth of entrepreneurs going back to Congo, going back to Africa, investing and doing, you know, great things. It'll be my pleasure to do that. All right, so yeah, that's just there. For cash flow on your farm, you need to consider planting 3 months crops. Absolutely. But I'll be honest with you, crops is not something that I'm considering doing. I don't plant crops to sell. You know, if I'm planting anything, I am planting corn, for instance, because when we harvest, we're just going to use that to make animal feeds. Of course, we'll buy other commodities that you use, you know, other, you know, components that you use to mix, you know, to mix them with for animal feeds, and that's what we're going to use it for. But I'm not going to grow corn to sell it in the market. No, that's not the idea. My farm will solely be based more focused on animal, you know, livestock, pigs, goats, chickens, rabbits. I'll get into rabbits real soon, and many more. So the diversity of animal on the farm, it is something that I am prioritizing. All right. So for me, growing crops is it's outside of the area of my interest. So I'll still grow like things here and there, maybe for like consumption purposes, but it ain't gonna be for like commercial or reasons or anything like that. But feel free to grow crops if it is something that you're more experienced in. And I know people that grow crops, that's what they do, they make good money from off of it, but I just don't find it something that I have interest in. So yeah, I mean, if I'm growing something, again, chances are it's more likely to help out into the farm. And that's the greatest thing about agriculture or farming, is that everything serves to help something within the farm. Like speaking of rabbits, urine, it's a great pesticide for your crops. So you're growing your crops, you have them, you don't even have to buy anything. You can use your rabbit's urine, spray them on, and all the flies or mosquitoes or whatever things that they destroy your crops, they'll be dead before even they get anywhere near the thing. And we'll talk about pigs or pigs dumps can be used for numerous things, biogas and all of that. You can use that to pretty much as a fertilizer that makes your crops grow faster, and your products grow much bigger. So there are so much advantages of farming that when you learn and you do it the proper way, you're just gonna win. You know what I mean? Well, let me grab this comment right quick. So how many hectares do you have right now? Well, I have a total of 6 hectares. So he's 6 hectares, which is like roughly 15 acres. So that's about how much I own right now. So yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, and thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I know your time is very valuable. It's a Sunday. Some of you maybe, I don't know, whatever you guys were doing, but I really appreciate you hanging out with me. This is always a pleasure to have this kind of conversation, to bring awareness. And if you guys finding me for the first time, hit the like button. And for those of you that have not, please subscribe. Also consider to share this live stream or this video with a friend, so when I drop more videos in the future, you guys are notified. All right. So if it wasn't for work, because I literally gotta get dressed and ready for duty, I probably will be still here with you talking about, because when I talk about Congo or doing business or agriculture, I just get all excited and everything. So it's just one of those topics that we could have a conversation at any time of the day, 1 in the morning, 2 o'clock. As long as I'm awake, feel free to hit me up. All right, so drop all your comments in the comment section down below. Until the next one, I'll see you guys soon. Make sure to turn those alerts so that when I release those videos next week, to keep you updated on what's happening on the farm, you don't miss out on that. Peace out. Happy New Year. Have a fantastic rest of your Sunday.